In recent years, many people have believed that they are seeing pterodactyls. According to science, the pterodactyls were supposed to have died out along with the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. However, numerous stories of flying reptiles in oral history, along with abundant depictions of pterodactyls and pterosaurs in prehistoric artwork, have proven that pterodactyls may in fact really still be with us.
And behind them, thunderbirds swooped among the clouds. Lightning darted from their flashing eyes, and thunder rumbled when they flapped their enormous wings. He felt afraid and wondered if the Great Spirit had answered him. The clouds parted.
In Native American legends, the firebird is a supernatural being, praised for his strength and power. The Drainey Major and Tom Holland suggest that all the stories of the Thunderbirds were based on pterodactyl fossils found by people from various tribes. I believe the legends are actually from eyewitness accounts of living pterosaurs and pterodactyls. In 1890, 2 ranchers killed a winged monster. The monster resembled an alligator. It had thick, set jaws full of sharp teeth. The wings were thick and nearly transparent, with an elongated tail.
1948, 3 individuals in Overland, Illinois, spotted what they originally thought to be a passing plane, but after seeing a large set of flapping wings, they realized this plane was something very different. A few weeks later, in Alton, Illinois, a man and his son saw what they described as an enormous bird-like creature with a body shaped like a naval torpedo. The creature was flying at least 500 feet, 152 meters, and cast a shadow the same size as a small passenger airplane. She was sure that the flying creature had no feathers, but it did have a long tail with a diamond-shaped bulb at the end of the tail. It also had a head crest. In Jacksonville, NC, an eyewitness saw something to the power of flying in the sky.
You even taste disappointing.
Half of that taste is you.
It looked like a pale greenish-white and smooth-skinned. It didn't appear to have any feathers. And it had the tail with the diamond shape on the end.
Some flying, but not this large, of course. Ability. And as we excavated, we excavated 2 or 3 of these and found that this creature was the footprint was so large that if everything is in the right proportion, he would have had a 60-foot wingspan. Wow. I've not published on that yet. I will publish on that in time, but I thought that was an incredible discovery.
Yes, it is.
Now, how on earth, if these fellows couldn't fly today, by the way, I've led 3 scientific expeditions into the jungles of Papua New Guinea.
I was going to ask you about that.
In search of living pterodactyls.
Yes.
They have descriptions of some flying, but not this large, of course, because it would require greater atmospheric pressure. Yes. With your scientific background, you, of course, can verify that.
I was doing a program in a Christian school, and there was a 6th grade boy sitting there, and all of a sudden he jumped out of his seat when I mentioned your research there. And he stood up and began to talk, and I realized he wasn't American. He had an Australian-style accent, and he said, I have come to the United States to go to school. My parents are missionaries in Papua New Guinea. He said, we recently have converted some interior tribesmen to Christianity, and they talk about these things that are still alive. He says they call them flying demons.
Yes, Dawas and Ropin in their language, that's demon, ghosts.
Yes.
What an incredible, sure, they're verified throughout many of the islands. Now, in order for the larger ones like this, and Quetzalcoatlus, and this unnamed, probably Texarkanus, found in Texas and very large. Everything's large in Texas.
That's what they tell me.
Especially the stories. But there's merit to many of those stories. I'm a Texan, so I can joke about Texans and about Texas. These creatures, the larger of these, this Texanicus possibly is what this will be, and Quetzalcoatlus, named after a Mexican god in lore, could not have flown under these conditions, including
Yes.
that. So there had to be greater atmospheric pressure. Dr. Sharp, you're a science major in your analysis of every... could tell the difference. The wingspans of a number of these Dewas and Ropin, that's their name for these creatures. They're grave robbers. Dewas and Ropin, these pterodactyls. These are considered to be ghosts by them, but actual figures who literally assimilate the dead. Many of the graves are covered with white sand because that reflection keeps these pterodactyls back. For 6 weeks after death, there's phase 1 of decomposition of a human body. After that, there's phase 2, and most of the odor is produced in phase 1. They're attracted to that. And we interviewed an old man who actually saw one of them digging up one of the old ladies that had been buried. We interviewed a school teacher who saw firsthand as she, on the mainland, was flown over to Umboy for the funeral of her uncle, and his body had been decomposing for a week or so. And with the open coffin, one of these creatures flew out of the bush and landed on the coffin, and of course some of those warrior-type family members immediately rushed to him, pulled him off before he could devour the uncle. And eyewitness account of a teacher. And these are not foxes, these...
Do you know why they couldn't hear the pterodactyl use the bathroom? Because the pee was silent.